fantastic. It's either episode 0 or episode 1, whatever. Right. Happiness is easy. Now, I'm in a
Happiness is
field.
easy.
I'm in a field, and you're on a holiday.
I'm
One
in
of us is
Dorset.
one of us is lying.
I'm telling the truth.
Excellent. So I'm just gonna just look at that. Slap bang in the middle now. Leveled up.
Right, I am on a holiday for the first time with no kids in 20 years. It's just me and my husband and our dogs.
That's worth a dance. How'd you wangle that then? What's your
Because
secret?
my grown-up children don't actually want to come on holiday with us for the first time ever. So
Stop. Rewind. Say that again. How did you manage that? What's your secret?
they normally come with us, but this year they're not. So
Wow. There's going to be information that's passed down through this podcast, and people are going to be loving it. People are going to be tuning in just for this secret here. How did you manage that? Still manage to get across that you love them, but they don't want to come on holiday with you. Outrageous. I need to know. I need to write this down. I'm in July, end of July. I'm going on holiday with my whole family. I'm paying for everything.
well, normally that's what happens. And I'm sure I stopped going on holiday with my parents when I was about 16, and Az just kept coming with us. But this time, no. And not only that, but we got a house big enough for all of us to be here. And so I've got my own apartment in the attic on my own. I've got like a nice room, this little space that I'm in. I've got a bathroom, no one else here. Husband's got his own floor downstairs.
Basically, you've cracked happiness. So this podcast is just going to be like, this is the only episode, isn't it?
Yes, I'm telling you, this is how to be happy.
You've cracked it. You've cracked it. Let's end it right there. Oh dear.
Absolutely brilliant.
Fabulous.
So, tell me about this podcast that we're doing then, Dominic.
Okay, well, happiness is easy because it isn't. And I've got a particular viewpoint, you've got a particular viewpoint, and then we'll just see where it goes. Yep. And because you can't script, just like life, you can't script it too tough. You can't script it too tight. And things are gonna come up, just like life. Stuff happens whilst you're just getting on with stuff. And so yeah, we're gonna, whatever comes into my head and your head, we'll just share it. And I'm sure somewhere in there'll be a nugget for somebody.
Nugget that will mean something to someone.
Yeah. So I'll say, so for instance, I'll say something in a particular way, and then my wife, she won't pick up on it. It won't resonate with her. But somebody else will say the same thing, but in a slightly different way. Well, no, in fact, you're almost using the same words, but like have a different tone. Like, oh, that's really good. I'm just going like, I was saying the same thing for the last 5 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what I want to kick off with today, what's going through my mind is how perception, one's own personal perception, is a large part of the battle. Yeah. So what has sprung to mind is because my daughter, she's just finished her law degree, got a 2-1, fabulous. So she phones up and goes like, "Hey, I've got some good news," and I'm going like, "You've got a 2-1, haven't you?" Right? And she goes like, "Yeah, you don't sound very excited." I said, basically, I've seen how hard you work, right? And the only person who didn't think you were going to get a 2-1 is you. So it's right. So she's going like, "You should be more enthusiastic." It's like, I am enthusiastic, but you just delivered what I knew you could deliver. I wasn't expecting you to deliver. That's there's mitigating circumstances why you wouldn't get her first, but the amount of effort you put in, I see how hard you've worked consistently. Boom.
You had faith.
So I had faith, but it was not just faith. It was backed up by objectively looking at like, okay, you put this much effort in, right? And if you put this much effort in and this amount of dedication, and your learning technique is this, I, as a father, I can objectively step back and go like, well, I've seen what you do, how you do it. Plus, I have a background in education, which she ignores. I'm going like, I know university lecturers, I know heads of department. This is how they think. It's not like that anymore, Daddy. I'm going like, so objectively, I'm going like, I think this is what you're going to get. But if you do not get this, I will write to them and go, hey, what are you basing your stuff on? But she delivered what I was expecting. But it's like, so, but that's my perception. Her perception is, I'm not being very enthusiastic. So then it just then goes like, okay. So then goes back to, right, if that's my perception and her perception, and like if we all have issues or traumas or whatever, it's very hard, especially in the medical industry, you go like, right, okay. And throughout life, we always rate things like that car's better than that car better. But when it comes to emotions and feelings, it's very hard to compare them, just how you feel within yourself and how those compare with others. And sometimes that's actually a bad thing. You can go like, oh, if I bang my toe, that hurts more than if I break my leg. Or is it but depending on the day, it might not be. But then you can't go like, oh, the pain of my broken toe is much more than the pain of your broken toe.
No, that's really interesting when it comes to injury about rating pain, because it's something they ask you in hospital, because they say to you, on the scale of 0 to 10, how much does this hurt? And you kind of they've got to gauge somehow, but you're kind of like, so I end up saying to them like, 10 is childbirth, right? Okay, it's not as bad as that. It's a hard thing, isn't it? And it is like that with emotions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then there's like how you convey these things to the outside world. It's like, okay, like my wife said to me, she said, like, I said, I'm tired. I said, do I look tired? And she goes like, no, you look fine. I said, that's because I always have this look, because I'm always tired.
Perpetually tired. Yeah. But don't you think, Dominic, when you get to about our age, we all do look a bit tired? I see people sometimes that I know that I was at school with, like I'll see them in the street because I live quite near where I grew up, and and I think, oh my goodness, they're young really, but they just look a bit tired.
Yeah. But also attached to that, if I see an old person and I know they're old because and they have a young face, I get really suspicious, right? Because I go, right, you've either done plastic surgery, which is, I always think that's very weird anyway, unless you've had a major accident, which is just like, okay, you're born with a certain features, just rock with it, right? Yeah. There's internal stuff and external stuff. Like if you're changing all this, I'm going like, there's internal work you ain't been doing. And then also is that I also think like, right, if you're older but your face is young, it's like you haven't been doing anything. You've just been pure chilling for the last 25 years. And that's not right. You got to do something.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. So what's your perspective on happiness, Dominic?
My perspective on happiness, it changes from day to day. And it really goes like, the older you get, the more it's like it's the small stuff. It's the really small stuff. So, like yesterday, when my wife was at university, she was the founder and president of the Scottish Circle Dancing Society. As you can imagine, that is a completely at the opposite end of what I'm into. Completely. People go like, "Hey, how are you two ever together?" Right? It's weird. But she went. We were. There's a place she used to go to. She went circles to go circles dancing, and she's finally gone back to it after like 8 years or whatever. I was just in the house by myself. So that's just a small thing. And I was happiness on on two levels for her and for me. I had the space, I had the football uninterrupted. Don't knock that. Right. And my wife was doing something which I knew would nourish her. Right. So, and then another thing, my daughter getting a 2-1, I felt a weight lift off me, which I didn't know was there. So,
Yeah.
you know, actually having that weight, that mental weight lifted, brings a certain happiness with it. It's like, oh, I feel lighter. You know, so
Yeah,
it,
yeah. Well, I've got a
so
couple of observations about that, Dominic. One is it's not that weird that you and your wife got together when she was into something that involves music and movement. Okay, it's not your kind of music and movement, but you love your music and you love movement and rhythm. So it's a different type, but you know, you've got that in common, haven't you?
that's why you're the professional. You see, no one's ever said that. No one's ever said that. Been with her for about 30 years. No one's ever said that. See, that's why you're the professional and I'm just the enthusiastic amateur in this happiness game.
That is true, isn't it? Because it's like if you love music, which I do, you even if it's not particularly your bag, the type of music, you still have an appreciation of it, don't you?
Yeah.
You're pleased that people are doing that, they're satisfied by it, that they get something from it. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to approve or disapprove or like it yourself. You can still appreciate it, can't you?
Absolutely. I've just remembered something. We said that I wasn't going to do this background business, didn't I? With me being in the field. Remember that?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yay! I've completely forgotten. Yeah.
I like your room.
See
It's
all the
cool. It's got loads of stuff in it that's really
stuff
nice.
actually happening in it. Yeah.
Because you've got music, you've got books, you've got it's all going on.
It's all going on, which is just like life. It's always stuff going on. There's nothing you can do about it. Life will continue constantly. And time is the one non-renewable resource.
Yeah, yeah. There's a great poem by Thomas Hardy where it refers to time's unflinching rigor.
Mm.
And it's like just
Oh, I like that. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write that down on the notes.
it's on the recording. Time's unflinching rigor rules from sight your substance, I think it is. But anyway, there we go. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's we haven't got time again. So
Yeah.
there we go. There's nothing we can do about that.
Absolutely. So, and but we say these things, and then we go like, yeah, we know that. But when do we actually go like, oh, I actually don't have a lot of time. It's only when there's a major crisis that we actually go like, because we these things that we throw out, we've heard them before. Like how many times somebody said like, oh yeah, time runs out, like old people say it or whatever, you know. But like it's only when there's the major crisis, then we go like, oh, I need to reassess my priorities. Life, you know, can be gone in an instant. Life, you know, quality of life can change in an instant.
I know. At the beginning of the year, I couldn't walk or talk because I'd fallen down the stairs. So yeah, it does make you appreciate it when you get it back.
So, could you? How did that feel emotionally? Going like, right, not walking, not talking. It's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, well, it only took me a few days before I could use a walking frame to like get to the loo in the hospital.
Right.
Because I'd had to have a emergency surgery on my lungs because my lung had collapsed because my ribs had pierced it.
Right.
So I wasn't really thinking about the emotions because one of the things that I've really got into with this study of happiness really is not is acceptance. It's just accepting what's
Yeah.
going on, which is a bit like you were saying earlier with, well, life happens, you know, these things, you can't predict what's going to happen. I mean, one minute everything was fine and the next I'm in hospital for weeks, and that can happen at any time, and it's more likely to happen more frequently as we get older, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've had this sort of thing happen to you.
Yeah, I mean, I had like, stage 4 cancer. You just
Yeah,
like
that's pretty frightening.
yeah, it was really weird because I went to the doctors like after a checkup, like after about I just come to the end of my treatment, and got the results. I'm going like going like, oh, this is the prognosis and da da da. And I went like, oh man, those results are really tasty, right? And he's going like, I don't really get that normal kind of reaction. But I was really enthusiastic. And in the end, he said like, it's great to meet you. You've got that word tasty stuck in my head. And he said every patient he's going to see after that, he's going to be thinking, actually, these results, this level is tasty. It's all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it is a case of like something that really, really, really changed my perspective. From theory to like, okay, you think about these things and go like, oh, this is a great theory. It's like, but then I had a friend of mine, and I got in touch with her again. She called me up, and she went like, hey, great to get in touch with you again. I got 6 months to live. Just like, fucking hell. But I've just rediscovered you again. 6 months. Ah. So you just go like, so that then you got that thing about like time is a non-renewable resource. It's finite. It's that. What are you gonna do with it? Because it's just that. When I suppose when you're even that feeling when you're 90 or whatever, you go like, oh, well, there's more years, you know, behind you than there are ahead of you. But then you go like, so, hey, 6 months. Let's give you 6 months. That's very looking at the seconds, you're looking at the hours, you're doing it every day, you're doing the check about like, how am I feeling today? Right, what's working, what isn't working, how can I maximize it? Because then it's good like, oh, those things that people say, oh, you know, you stop sweating the small stuff.
Yeah. Are you a bucket list type person or not? Do you have a
I'm
list of stuff that you want to do?
I'm not I don't think I am I think I'm not a conscious bucket list person. I don't go like, right, have a list and go like, right, I want to do this by this particular day, do this or this and that. But I do have goals. So like the next book, I know that the book I'm writing at the moment, I want to get over and done with because the next book is starting to come through, and it's a book that I want to write and I need to write because it's because all art is personal, is a form of expression, and everybody has a unique way of looking at the world. And my particular way of looking at the world on the subjects that I have in my head, I think it's unique. And anyway, I need to get it out. And as you're aware, it's like, there's many things that if you don't deal with them, right, they're gonna come out anyway. How many like I mean, what big thing that's been in the news has been like, Will Smith is back big in the box office again with Bad Boys 4. So everybody's talking about, oh, that slap again, that he did on Chris Rock. And it's like, okay, you just getting up on stage and slapping somebody in front of all those people on the biggest night of your life. There's other stuff going on there, quite clearly, that you haven't dealt with in the appropriate way, and it's coming out at an inappropriate time. You know.
Yeah, that was
And
difficult for him, wasn't it? Because that was a funny situation there because that man had just been quite insulting and rude to his wife.
mm,
And at first he sort of laughed, and then he saw how upset she looked.
yeah,
And then he was like, right, I better act. And I was quite sympathetic to him in some ways because he didn't, behave how he should really, which was maybe comfort her and then have a word with him quietly afterwards.
mhm,
But Yeah, you're right. He must have had an angry feeling inside him that needed to show his rage.
Yeah, so as we all have triggers, don't we? And it's a
Mm.
case of like, right, and so I think one of the issues is that lots of people don't do the work for whatever reason, because actually going like, I'm not right. By even saying those words, I'm not right. Well, there's something wrong with you then. Ah, right. Oh, but I'm a man. I'm a macho man, and like, or men act like this, men think like this. My dad acted like this. This is what I know to be, the way men should be. This other thing, that's a vulnerable thing. We don't do that.
Oh, yeah. So for him, that was a trigger. Like, I defend my wife.
Yeah, it's like,
I smack
mm,
somebody.
ugh, ugh.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And do you think a lot of men feel like that? Because I reckon that my husband's could be a bit like that. If for me or my daughters, um, I reckon he would probably lamp someone if
no,
which I don't want him to.
yeah,
But
but that's the thing. That's that there's things that we are pre-programmed. Like oh, men, on some level it's like, oh, your family that you care about, oh, somebody's attacking them. you know you go like, right, okay, the adrenaline goes like, right, I'm gonna deal with this. How? you
respond.
know
Boom.
and it's, yes, but then it takes a lot of strength to go like, right, let me step back, let me breathe. What is the best way of dealing with this?
Mm.
Because it's like, how many people get trained, when you go to school, you remember, like, I did geography, did history, right, did maths, did science, did English. When did anybody go like, right, okay, this is how you mentally deal with stuff? It's just trial and error. They just let you loose with trial and error.
With no advice or support.
Just to let you loose with, what's the most important stuff? How to how to emotionally deal with stuff is the most important thing, because you have to deal with people throughout life. There is no way you can be, unless you're a multi-billionaire, that you can't, like, when you can control everything and people do everything for you, whatever you say. You have to be able to navigate through life.
Yeah.
It's it's as important as, more important than maths and English, because they always go like, maths and English are compulsory. They used to say science, but then they couldn't find any science teachers, so they just went like, yeah, but we just like, yeah, do a bit of lightweight, that, a bit of that. But they go like, maths, you got to know your maths, you got to know your English. But then you go like, oh, actually, do you know how to like be in control of your mind a bit? Not get buffeted
Yeah.
left, right, and center.
Yeah, but um, English, not the grammar stuff that um, certain governments have insisted on becoming more important in school, but English itself, stories and poems and stuff, that does help with all that emotional stuff, I think. That does bring in thought and care into how you navigate life. I think that's what is the most important bit about reading stories and poems and things like that. That is what it's doing. And that's the bit that has been discouraged by
Yeah, 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 yeah,
the
yeah.
powers that be.
Yeah, but then you go like, right, okay, but what the thing you just said there about how stories helps with that, but it's very loose. That's just a byproduct. Yeah, so the school curriculum goes like, okay, right, you got to do these in English. You're going to do this, this, and this, right? Okay, these books. What is the purpose of that, and what is the subtext? There's nowhere it goes like, oh, we're doing this story because it'll help you emotionally.
Well, that would depend on the teacher that you have, wouldn't it?
It would, and then all teachers, just like people, vary. And then you get them into the fact of like, okay, you get your teacher on a Monday. It's like, yes, get them on a Friday. I've had enough. Like my brother, I've got two brothers. He's my youngest brother. He's a primary school teacher, right? And he's got a class of 28, and half the class have support toys. So they have, there's half of his class have distinct issues, and then so he and they're all different, and so come Thursday, he's he's trying to get over the line, you know, and also he's also been in the situation of they went at a previous school when he's a secondary school, they're going like, right, you're teaching Spanish, and it's going like well, I'm here to do business. So like, well, you're doing Spanish as well. It goes like, I don't speak Spanish. I haven't got Spanish GCSE. And I just go, and then going like, as long as you're one page ahead, you're fine. And his big fear was always that there'd be some Spanish
Spanish kid in the class
would rock up and hear me out, done, over. And like he left that school in the end, but like it was just a constant state of panic. It was like, right, I'm going to teach Spanish. I don't know any Spanish, and he's just going like.
I remember you've been a teacher. Do you still do?
Yeah.
We both have. I can remember teaching Hamlet to a class when I hadn't actually read Hamlet, and they just sort of said, "Oh, you can do Hamlet, can't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." Right, class, everyone do a mind map about Hamlet. Tell me the story. I obviously read it in the next couple of days before their next lesson, but I had never read it before when I did the first. I think I had seen it at the theatre, but I hadn't ever read it.
Yeah.
But yeah. How do we go?
That reminds me of another story. When I was at college, I went to see A Midsummer Night's Dream, right? And like a student production of it. And I thought, for years I thought this is just the maddest version I've ever seen. It wasn't. I think it was. I didn't know much about Shakespeare, but it just seemed to be all over the place, right? And then, right, a few years ago, I was going through boxes and stuff, and I flicked through, and I found the program, and it wasn't Midsummer Night's Dream at all.
What was it? 12th Night.
It wasn't a Shakespeare thing at all. It was something completely different. And I always thought this was A Midsummer Night's Dream, and it's like they were just these student version was just off piece, but it actually wasn't. It was something completely different.
Oh, you're watching a really interesting interpretation. You're watching a different play.
Jazz version.
Brilliant.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So that also ties into like, okay, how do you what are the strategies of being happy? I suppose one of those is like, okay, remembering happy times, remembering happy thoughts. That I suppose that is a strategy. Yeah, that's a strategy I've used in the past. But the issue I always have with that is that it doesn't say much about the future, though, does it? Because the future is one of those things that we really can't predict.
Yeah, that's why I've come around to acceptance of just and journeying and like just having the ride, just kind of going, actually, you're not going to feel the emotion of happiness, the kind of smiley face and everything like that. I think you can find humor in most situations, and when you think of really dire situations like war, people actually find or death. Gallows humor is a thing. Spike Milligan was hilarious about the war.
Oh, yeah. Like there's two. So it's like I told you I was ill.
Yeah, yeah, I told you I was ill. I mean, but that helps us through, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
and music as well. Like I think of my granddad comes from a mining village in Wales, and he described himself as the only Welshman who couldn't sing. But um, he, you know, you see them. They would walk out of the pits where their life is hard. You know, they're down the pits smacking stuff in the dark all day, really knackered and hardly earning anything. They'd walk down the hill singing all together.
mm, yeah,
So,
yeah,
which is where they got their music from and their bands and everything. They would play music together and keep themselves going.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I suppose there is that thing about like camaraderie, isn't it? They're all relying upon each other.
Mm, mm. But so they weren't trying to actually change the situation. But I found it really interesting, Dominic, when we spoke before, and you were telling me about what it was like being a black boy growing up in Oxfordshire.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the unfairness that you were treated with was just shocking. I mean, it's absolutely terrible. And so I think there's only so much personal responsibility you can um, take for happiness, because some of it is actually political. Like,
Yeah.
and you told me about a person that you know, that I won't mention her name, who is dealing with being disabled, a woman, and black. And
Mm,
she says the hardest thing is being black.
yeah.
That's what you told me, isn't it? And why you should have to kind of take responsibility for your own personal happiness when you're faced with such social injustice is kind of,
Mm.
I don't know. What do you think? I
Well,
think that people ought to deal with social injustice first, because it's not fair to say to someone, well, you have to take responsibility for your own happiness, but we've given you a really shit system that's against you.
but it's one of those things that is a constant struggle, isn't it? It's a constant struggle. So it's like, okay, you do the work, you put your armor on, and then you go like, right, I'm going to approach the day, and then have I got the, but then he's like, have I got the right thickness of armor on, right? Because then you go like, right, I have this armor to protect myself in, but with this armor being thick, it impacts how I interact with the world, how open I can be with people, and what I can receive. So
Yeah,
it is always, always, always a fire. It's like it's a high trapeze act. It's a high wire rope act. You know, it's like okay. So like, there's been, for example, like I'm going like right, okay, feeling good, da 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 da, and I'll go on Twitter, X or whatever, and you'll just see some stuff, and it'll just like it'll knock you down a few pegs. Just knock you down a few because it'll be you knock your stuff, you just go like, okay, another black person stopped. You know? Oh, then another, then you just go like, and there's a part of you just goes like, right, you just got to roll with the punches. That's happening. And then there's another bit that goes like, oh, well, it's not me. And then there's another bit that goes like, well, it could very easily have been me, right? And then then that adrenaline gets pumping up again, and then your face goes, "Argh." And then you have to go off and interact with the rest of the day, and then you bump into people, actually might physically or just, and you go, you have to interact with these people, and people go like, what's up with him? He seemed fine yesterday. He's normally smiling. And then the other thing you do is like, right, okay, I'm going to have a media blackout, or I'm not going to interact at all, and then you don't know what's going on. Then like, oh, I live in my own world, and I'm really happy in my own world. You have no idea what's going on. It's a constant juggling act. You've got, like I was thinking today, it was like, being black, it's like, okay, on what, you can go from people's perceptions could be go from like it's like a disability on one hand, and on the other hand, it's like a superpower. And that dichotomy is like in a split second. Oh, we're expecting you to be like super strong and da 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 da, like, oh right, well, yeah, but you can't think, yeah, da 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 da, that all and where you go, whichever room you walk into, You know, there's a sliding scale. You know, it's
Yeah.
never just like, you know. But then conversely to that, you go to some places and go like, your blackness, we don't see color. Your blackness does not matter. It has no importance here. Oh, what? So you're going to deny an aspect of me, right? That is part of who I am, right?
Yeah. I get.
Right. Okay. This thing that's had an impact on my whole life. You're just going like, we're going to discount that.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my head, the words that came to my mind was my arse. Because
That's a suffix for everything.
my arse is not important. Of course, it's important. It's and I never even understood um racism and what black people suffer until I understood what it is like being a grown-up woman in this country. And I know it's not as bad as the treatment that black people get, but I can empathize in some way, because people say that about gender. They say, oh well, we you know, we don't care about women. Yeah, all right, but it's not you walking around in fear for your life all the time.
Exactly.
Men are
Exactly.
afraid we're going to laugh at them. Women are afraid they're going to kill us.
Mm. And we're coming to the end. So with that wonderful happy note.
Happy people. So there we go.